Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. So today we are on episode 3, week 3 of Work in Progress, or WIP Wednesday. Today I am trying to finish this tedious task. I'm using Derwent Inktense in my copy of Ivy and the Inky Butterfly by Johanna Basford. It's actually one of the books I plan to finish, or want to finish, for this year. Don't know if I will. I'm doing this page with Inktense, and Inktense are normally pretty quick. Like, you can belt out a page pretty fast. For some reason, they're taking a little bit longer here. And right now, I just have a single color base coat. I kind of just dove into this blindly, picking some purples and pinks, and I'm just kind of gonna see where it goes. I'll fill out the background, the insides. Part of me is thinking of maybe coming back in and outlining with a white gel pen and adding accents. The other half might come back with more Inktense to add depth. I don't know. This is a work in progress that has no end game yet. So it's perfect though to sit here and chat with you guys while I work through it, especially because it is very monotonous, just filling in and then activating it and whatnot. So it'll be a good one, and then I can answer questions from the previous week. I have 2, I think. It might be 3, gotta double check my sheet, but I do have some questions to answer. And then, as always, with every work in progress Wednesday, can't talk today, if you want to ask a question, just leave it in the comments below. And it can be anything. It can be about coloring, and it can be about the picture I'm working on, something about Inktense you want to know, or this book, or whatever. You can definitely do that. Or if it's something not related to my current WIP, that's fine too. Just leave them in the comments below, and then I will answer them on the next episode or next week. So let's see. I think I want to get in here with my greens. If you're not familiar with Inktense from Derwent, these are one of my favorite pencils that I didn't buy for a really long time. And once I did, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I waited so long to buy these things. They are super fun to work with. They are water-soluble pencils. Unlike certain watercolor pencils that look okay dry, these are hideous dry. They really need to be activated, but they are gorgeous once they are activated. They're not muted, excuse me, not muted like a watercolor pencil. And that's because they're not watercolor. While they are water soluble, Inktense are actually, they're ink. So you can't reactivate them. Like if I were to go over this one with water again, it's gonna do nothing other than wet my page. So the ink's not gonna move, which makes these things really awesome, because what I can do is once one layer dries, you can go back with another color and add another color, and it won't work like watercolors where they reactivate and get all muddly and give you this muddy color. You actually can build on top of one another. So that's what makes these fun. But you also don't even have to layer them. You have so many options. Like with Inktense, you can use them as a base layer and then use Prismacolor or something else on top of it. You can color an entire page with just Inktense, using a single color and just dragging it out to give, a gradient effect without using multiple colors, or you can layer them if you're, more comfortable with them. But yeah, these are awesome pencils that usually help you belt out a page super quickly. However, this one is taking forever, and I think it's honestly just the amount of work and the repetitiveness of it all. But I still think it looks pretty. I haven't decided on what my background will be yet. I really want these purples and pinks to pop. But yeah, instead of me just chatting and not coloring, let me get coloring. If you're curious about my greens, I am using Beach Green 1510 and Felt Green 1530. All right. So with this, or the leaves, I am using 2 colors. Everything else has just been a single color. But let's see, Beach Green is my darker one. And I'm really not thinking about it too much when I put these down. It's kind of just a fly by the seat of my pants type of project. Honestly, I felt like using my Inktense, and I was just flipping through this book, and this is the page I landed on. But I didn't really have a plan. I just knew I wanted to use my Inktense pencils. I have a lot of pencils, and a lot of them don't get used, so one of my resolutions was to use them more. But my Inktense definitely get used, especially when it comes to like my water-soluble pencils. They're used a lot. I've been trying to use my Arteza watercolor ones. They are Arteza, so I know they're like a budget pencil, but they're a good place to start if you're not quite sure whether you want to do watercolor pencils in the first place, and if you just kind of want to learn. I do want to buy the, what are they called? Albrecht Dürer. I'm just kind of waiting, and we'll see where that goes, kind of thing. The nice thing about those ones is they match up with your polychromos, so you can use them together. However, the Arteza watercolors do the same thing. So the color names on your watercolors match up with your Arteza Expert pencils. So you can kind of layer them too the same way you would the Albrecht Dürer. It's just not as great quality. The pigments and all that aren't as great. But I mean, if you're just starting out, or you're not, you know, you're kind of just dabbling in watercolors, you know, they're way cheaper by far. And I think I have the 120 set, yeah, because I have the 120 set of the pencils and the watercolor pencils. But eventually I'll buy the Albrecht Dürers. I'm kind of on the fence. I don't know if I'm going to use them that much, and that's what's holding me back. I don't want to keep buying these pencils I'm not going to use. I've become kind of a collector. And it wasn't that I buy these pencils with the intention of just shelving them. Like, I bought Holbein's with the intention of using them, for sure. It's just I ended up not really being a big fan of them when I bought them. I am using them. I have been using them this month a lot to kind of, you know, get over my hate. It's the best way to put it. But, yeah, I'm still kind of like, I don't know about these Holbein's. But we'll see. Yeah, so all the pencils I own, I didn't buy with the intention of making them dust collectors. They just kind of became that. But to be honest, I think it's because of the comfort zone. I'm one of those people that don't like to branch out too much from my comfort zone. So, like, every pencil is kind of unique. You know, you can adapt them to your coloring style, but there are certain adjustments you have to make. And every pencil has a learning curve. You have to learn how it responds to certain paper, you know, how it blends compared to whatever your favorite is. In my case, Prismacolor. You know, there's tons of pencils out there. I can use similar combinations. Like, I have a conversion chart that converts, like, say, Prismacolors into luminance colors, which is handy dandy, but I can't use the exact same technique for blending my Prismas as I do luminance. Same thing with polychromos. So there's always that learning curve. And I do want to apologize if I'm kind of having to cough or clear my throat. I'm going to try and pause every time I have to, but it's hard because it's a lot. My allergies are like raging. And I know it's January, so you're thinking, how on earth could you have allergies? But we have massive wind storms out right now. And it's a very dry winter here this year. Like, we've had barely any snow. And for Utah in January, this is really weird. I'm kind of like afraid that February is just gonna dump on us. So it's so dry out there that it's actually kicking up and like blowing around all the dry brush that would normally be dampened down by a ton of snow. But like I just have like tiny patches of snow excuse me, in shaded areas of my lawn where they don't get enough sun to melt. But really, I mean, I can't believe how little snow we've gotten, which sucks because I'd kind of planned on all that snow shoveling to be my workout for 2021. Because I hate traditional workouts. Like, I loathe them. And now with my birthday over, you know, it's really hard to diet and eat right during your birthday month, especially when you have a bunch of leftover cake. I'm sorry, cake sounds great with coffee in the morning, so it's just what I do. But now that that's all over and the cake is gone, I've got no more excuses. Need to get my butt moving and drop the COVID. Okay, I'm totally gonna disclose this to you guys, but like I have gained 30 pounds from the whole COVID, you know, loveliness. And that's a lot. I'm actually heavier than I've ever been while pregnant with a child of mine. Honestly, I'm shocked at myself. And I know exactly how it happened. It's not one of those ones where you're like, I have no clue where those pounds came from. No, I know. I spent a lot of months just sitting in my bed coloring. You know, I stopped all my walks and like getting out of the house and running errands. Like my groceries were delivered, so I didn't go grocery shopping. A lot of like mini lifestyle changes that you don't think would impact your weight really do. Like grocery shopping, I mean, that's a lot of steps, and it is actually physical exercise. You're burning calories running errands like that. I'm not saying you're going to drop 100 pounds just going to the store, but it's just a matter of getting out and moving. I mean, my step count, back in the day, I used to do like anywhere from 20 to 40K a day. Now I'm lucky if I break like 3,000. But that was because I would take my dog for a walk, and even before we had the dog, I would take my daughter every morning for a walk around the neighborhoods. And yeah, I basically just become a lazy bum, and I'm trying to snap out of it, but I'm having a really rough time snapping out of it. It's like 2021 came, I was like ready to go, you know, get rid of 2020 because I think we all feel that way, right? I can't be the only one. So yeah, I was ready for the new year by far. And then usually with the new year resolutions, I wait till after my birthday to implement them. Like I said, cake for breakfast. I'm not opposed to it. In fact, I encourage it for your health, mental health, not so much physical. But yeah, I have a treadmill that's just collecting dust because I can't get my butt on it. And it's partially, I mean, work is really busy, way busier than I thought it would be. Like, we took a nosedive a little bit at first with COVID, but oh my gosh, January 1st hit and we have been slammed. I'm working like 12 to 15 hour days. I used to do like a treadmill desk, but my son needs my laptop to school from home, so he has that one. And then, yeah, to be honest, it could be a little bit of depression settling in. I don't know. It's hard to say. Have any of you kind of had that similar thing where your motivation to just do just about anything is kind of like gone, like workout? I still can't really go out. I mean, our case numbers here are ridiculous, and people here refuse to wear masks, which is it's just so stupid. Just put on a stupid mask. It's not that hard. But yeah, and like vaccines, yeah, they're coming, but like most of us won't see it till like April or June, so I'm not even relying on that. But just the stress of everything, you know, the kids home all day. I don't get like that peace and quiet. But I would never send them to school just for the peace and quiet. It's been less stressful for them to be home right now, other than they can't see their friends. And that it works out well because, gosh, I'm so sorry with the coughing. If I pause it every time, I'm going to forget what I was talking about. But yeah, we're keeping them on the at-home program the rest of the year because, like I mentioned in my last episode, we're selling our house and we'll probably end up moving mid-school year. So it's better for them to just finish it out online. And then it's great because my son will have his first year of junior high at a new school. My daughter will start kindergarten at a brand new school, so she won't be changing schools. Neither, and my son's changing schools, but it won't be like he's changing in the elementary. The only one that kind of got screwed over is my 8-year-old middle child. Poor thing. Definitely has a middle child syndrome going on there, but she's a trooper. So yeah, it's just a culmination of work being busy, stress. Today is inauguration day. I am filming this very early in the morning. So the inauguration hasn't quite happened. But I'm almost a little stressed about that because of kind of the chaos of it all. I've been avoiding the news, and if you follow me on social media, you probably noticed I have been kind of non-existent, and I really apologize. Some of you have been awesome about commenting on my Facebook stuff, and I am getting back into that this week. I have more so been avoiding my personal Facebook, just the crap people share that I just don't need to read. I'm like, ugh. But I've just kind of, social media almost gives me a panic attack to get on there because of all the things people say, but I'm just a little worried for this afternoon and how things are going to go. And I'm not trying to be bleak or any like conspiracy theory. I'm not giving into that crap. It's just considering like that whole storming of the Capitol situation. I'm honestly a little concerned that we're going to see a lot of riots this year. So instead of COVID, it'll be 2021, the year of riots. I don't know. Anyone else having that feeling like that we're not really going to be going up per se. We're kind of just going to plateau, but with a new issue. It's just kind of how I feel. So I'm very interested this afternoon to see how that all plays out. Because this morning I was just like, let's see how that goes. Here goes nothing. But yeah, basically just the craziness of everything I think has kind of bogged me down physically, emotionally, all that. I'm excited to sell, move to a new place, start afresh, just kind of get on with my life. I don't know. Alright, so with Inktense, you can just use a water brush. You could also use a traditional paintbrush. If you're unfamiliar with these water brushes, oh my god, these are the most amazing thing ever, and I wish I would have thought of this and invented this. I could be so rich right now. So, this is like some no-name brand. Came in... let's see, they're called Captron, and it came in, what, a 6-pack? Yeah. I'm missing one of them. I have no idea where the other brush went. But I do have... I also have this 3-pack from Caran d'Ache that I bought. They were like on clearance for some reason on Dick Blick, but I haven't used them yet, so they're brand new in the package, and they have a large, medium, and a fiber tip. Kind of interested to see how they work, but these are my go-to babies. They come in a bunch of different brush sizes, including like a massive one for, you know, tons of space coverage. But I'll link in the description below to these Captrons. They're super cheap. I wanted to buy like the Zig and the Derwent ones and even the Arteza one that everyone uses, but those things are friggin' expensive. So how these work is you have a little reservoir. Every company has their own little unique design, but the concept is the same. So you fill your reservoir here with water, and then you kind of just gently push and the water comes out. And depending on how saturated you want this, you know, you can blot it off on a paper towel, which is why I have a towel here. And then with Inktense, it's really important to keep wiping off the color, which is why my sheet looks like that. But you just have to keep it clean. So yeah, you just kind of, you know, press on it and you'll get some water that comes out, and then you just depend on how wet you want it. And then you just gently like wiggle it over the color, spread it around. And depending on the technique you're using with Inktense or watercolors, that'll kind of determine which direction you go in. So if you're putting down all your layers at once, like say you put down a light color and a dark color, you'll activate the light color and move into the dark color. Because if you activate this dark color here and bring it over to the light, it's going to stick to your brush and actually blend them, so it'll be dark here. You can activate the dark, wipe it off, and then come back down to the light. That's one option. Other people like will start at the white space and then move their way in. So like up here, they would start up here and move their way in. But here, my goal is to drag this color to the end and kind of fade it out. So I would actually start here and move up that way. So basically, a million ways to do this. So my best, you know, little thing of advice here is to just grab a water brush, grab some pencils, and play around. Really, you can't mess it up. And if you do, it's, you know, it's so easy to make it look like it was on purpose. Something I like. Unlike watercolors, though, these do have a little bit of a learning curve, and they are permanent. You can erase them when dry, but honestly, once you activate these bad boys, you don't really have a lot of options other than covering it up with a Posca, and then, you know, going on top of that. They don't erase, and you can't reactivate them, so options are limited to correct mistakes, but that doesn't mean you can't correct them. Like, I can still grab a Prismacolor and just go color on top of it. But I do love Inktense. See here, I had some of my reddish pink color get in there, but you'll notice that reddish pink color isn't activating while I'm playing with my greens here. Because it is ink and it is dry and it is not going anywhere. Yeah, it's one of my favorite water solubles. Love these things. I accidentally, I don't know what happened, but my water brush flicked there. So now I have a permanent line. And they dry pretty quick unless you're really heavy with the water. I'm not, but that's because I don't need it to spread too much. But like if you're trying to drag a color a really far way along, like say from just the center out, you might need a little more water to keep dragging it. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so while I am doing these leaves here, I guess I'll get to some questions. So I had to write them down off to the side here. And thank you for those of you leaving questions. It's fun. And like I said, you can leave one in the comments below. Even if you have a question about me, you want to get to know me. Someone last week asked about how I manage my schedule working from home with the kids. Like, that's totally fine. I'm willing to answer any of that. That's the whole point of these, is to get to know me, you know, listen to me rant. My rant and chat thing here, but, and then still learn a little bit of coloring, you know, as we go along, and just watch me work on whatever is my WIP for the day. So, oh, before I get into questions, the color along. I had someone message me asking if I forgot. I did not forget. It's just, like I said, been a really chaotic week, especially with my birthday. And then we're trying to get all the loan stuff together for selling and buying the new house. We haven't picked a house or anything, but you know, you got to get all that pre-approval crap out of the way. So I've been kind of stuck all week doing that, and then like, because I'm self-employed technically, I work as a freelancer, I had to do a bunch of end of year estimated tax loveliness. So I got a little sidetracked, but I am going to try and get a color along in this month because I want to do that birthday page that is super perfect for this month. It's just been pure chaos. And I thought the holidays were bad, but no. January 1st rolled around. I'm like, what is going on? But alright, let's jump into questions real quick. And sorry, I can hear my voice getting scratchy. I pounded some Benadryl right before I started filming, but I don't know how much good this is going to do. But okay. So first question is from Not That Karen. I love that name, by the way. I will admit I didn't know about the whole Karen meme, thing until about last year. So I'm a little out of the loop on pop culture, but now I know. And then, of course, when I saw her commenting, I was kind of laughing. That's her YouTube handle. It's super funny. But she asked a few really good questions. So the first one was, have I taken a book apart and spiral bound it? So I honestly have not until this week. It's kind of funny. My Hannah Lynn books, I started pulling them apart. I think I have one, as I keep coughing, as an example. I took my Sweet and Simple Whimsy Girls and broke the spine, which is really easy to do on her books. You just basically fold them backwards and it breaks off, and then you tear it off. And so what happens, if I can get the chunk out, so you have this huge glued area, right? At the moment I was just picking out pictures I wanted, so I would just tear them apart, but I'm actually going to take my X-Acto blade and I will be cutting across here to get all this glue off so that I can actually work a little easier in here. But as for spiral bounding it, I do want to spiral bound some books. There's quite a few I would love to pull the spine off. Like, honestly, all of my Hannah Lynn books, I would love to do it. I've done it to 2 this week, but I had my eyes on a spiral binding machine, but I didn't want one of those ones with paper combs. I wanted one that had the metal ones, so it's kind of like the books you get off of Etsy. So I do have one. I have my eyes on it. I was hoping the price would drop soon. It's still like a $200 machine. And that's not including like the metal things, but I am going to purchase that soon and start spiral binding those, along with like some of the PDF books I've purchased in the past, because these paperback books that you can't really color the cover on, I just kind of feel like they get in the way. Like these Johanna Basford ones are different because she's actually designed them for you to do like the cover. I can color the cover, but Hannah Lynn ones, there's no expectation of that. And I've been buying a lot more books off of Etsy, so it would be really cool to, 1, print them on paper I like, but 2, spiral bound them. And that brings me to the next question she asked. So the next question was, how do I store my PDF pages? Right now I put them in those clear plastic sheets, page protectors, and then I store them in a 3-ring binder. I have this massive 3-ring binder that I use for all of my coloring stuff. It has all of my color combinations, anything I printed out like guide-wise, but then it also has all of my blank PDF pages and colored PDF pages. I'm moving my color charts into their own 3-ring binder, and then I plan to put the completed and uncompleted PDFs into their own 3-ring binder soon too. But I do put them in page protectors just so they don't get like mangled or anything while I'm, switching through, but then also I don't have to like punch holes in them or anything. But that's what I do with them right now. If I were to print an entire PDF book though, I would rather spiral bound it. That's why I said I'm looking to buy a spiral binding machine. But yeah, I might even do a video showing you how to break the spine and pull apart those Hannah Lynn books. It's honestly not complicated, but at first you're really scared because you're about to just destroy the book. But then I was like, well, it's only like $9 to replace it if I totally screw this up. Or better yet, buy her PDF one and print it on the paper I like as opposed to the Create Space. So, and the nice thing about tearing those ones apart is I can scan them easier. I don't need to use my phone app. I can run them through my actual scanner. So I'll get a clearer picture. And then I can print them out on the paper I like and add them into the original book that I have already bound. So that is one reason I really want to get into binding them, just because I can start printing them on paper I like and putting them in there so that they're still part of the book. That way if I say I have completed this book, I can have the page in there. Whereas if I keep those Hannah Lynn ones together, I can't really do that because I just have to like put it inside the book in between the pages, but it's not really bound to it. So yeah. To answer your 2 questions in an extremely long fashion, that is how I store my PDF pages right now and whether I've taken one apart. And that was actually a really good question, so thank you for that one. Finish this leaf here. All right. Okay. I think I'm going to tackle some of these flowers while I do the next one. So the next question was from Jenny W. If you're watching this, Jenny, I sent you a little follow-up question to clarify what you meant in your question. And I could have totally just been having an airhead moment, and still am, because I've read it a few times, and I'm like, did she mean this or this? So if you're watching this, totally leave a comment and let me know if I answered it in the way you intended, and if not, just let me know and I will do that on the next one. So, if I can get through a question without my voice getting all scratchy. Gosh. Alright, her question was, where was I when I discovered coloring? So I kind of interpreted that as, like, literally where was I when I discovered it. So it's funny enough, I can actually remember where I was. I was in my living room, 9 months pregnant, and I was actually looking up things to do while in the hospital recovering from a C-section. I think I covered this in one of my last WIP Wednesdays, but that's what got me into coloring. Was I was looking for something to do while recovering in the hospital and during bed rest. So I was just sitting there, on my phone, as we all do, Googling and trying to like look up activities to do while you're on bed rest was kind of like what I was searching. And I came across an article about how adult coloring was starting to kick off. And this was in 2016. So 5 years ago. But yeah, that's how I found it. I just found an article about it, and they were talking about all the emotional and mental benefits of it, the stress and anxiety, and how it's a really great way, if you're on bed rest, to spend your time, because it also engages the parts of your brain that you don't normally engage with, like everyday activities, the more artistic sides. So it had all these listed benefits and how to get started, and so that's where I was, like So I was wondering if you meant like physically where I was when I discovered it, or if you meant something else. So totally let me know in the comments below if I hit that on that. But yeah, literally sitting on my couch with my phone, 9 months pregnant and so ready to pop. But I had found an article about it, bought a few things just in time to go to the hospital, and that is where my coloring journey began. I think in one of my last episodes I had mentioned, I know I mentioned like what got me into it and like my first pencils and first book. So, funny thing, I have decided that I'm going to buy a new set of Marco Ruffines because that was the real artist grade pencil. They're actually not bad, but they're really not, like, once you compare them to the other ones that are artist grade now, they're kind of woo. But I was going to buy those and the Secret Garden because those are two that were kind of like my first into the mainstream adult coloring. I did share in the last one like the super cheap pencils that I had bought first, and I even showed a picture of them. They still sell them on Amazon too. It's nuts, like you can still buy them. So I'm gonna buy the Marco Ruffin 72 count and a copy of the Secret Garden because that was the first one. And I'm going to start coloring in that book using just those pencils and kind of like revisit it and then compare it to the old Secret Garden I have that is just awful. I mean, no blending, random coloring, tons of instances where my, daughter got a hold of pencils and just meep over a page. I mean, my old Secret Garden's a mess. Let's just put it that way. Hot mess. So yeah, I am going to do that. And I thought it'd be kind of fun to do that and almost nostalgic, like going back to your roots and seeing how your coloring has changed, and even seeing how my coloring has changed using the same pencils, like the new effects I can get just knowing different types of pencils now and being able to color with them. So I do plan to do that, and I thought it would be kind of a fun little thing to do. And Marco Ruffins have gone down in price, obviously, since 2016. And I'm glad they're still selling them, because that was my worry. They wouldn't be around, but they are. And Secret Garden is like $6 and something cents on Amazon, so yeah, I'm totally gonna do that. But I might even be able to find it at Hobby Lobby and be able to use a coupon, now that I think of it. I don't know, but then again, like we said, I don't go out much and run errands because of the whole COVID thing, so I'll probably just buy it on Amazon and call it good. But that's something I was gonna start next month. I just have too much on my plate this month. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm gonna get this color along going, and I really want to do it. Like I was about to start it yesterday, and it's just so busy. I had such a typical week start that and the kids didn't have school for Martin Luther King Day, but they started their new quarter and everything, and we were only on a break for like 4 days. We came back from our winter break more prepared than we did for this break. But I think it's just the chaos of everything that's making me overwhelmed. So yes, I do plan to get that color along going, and I'm apologizing that it's probably going to be like the end of the month. But at the same time, I'm not going to promise that it will get going. I might not end up having one this month, which I hate because I really want to do one per month. And it's like the first month of the year and I'm already failing at that goal. But life happens, as I'm sure we all know, and I might just have to accept that I'm not Superwoman, which is really depressing. So we'll see how it goes, but I'll still be doing these for sure and posting tutorials. Some of you requested coloring hauls. I do have a haul that I just filmed that will be going live Friday, I think. I have to film those a little ahead of time because I do them in 4K, and YouTube takes forever to process the HD version in 4K. So I have to give those a few days, but I will show that. It was my birthday month, and you guys are going to be surprised at how little I bought during my birthday month. My February month actually is going to be a lot better. Quite a few things I'm going to buy. I hadn't intended to, but I was doing a lot of marker work over the weekend, and I've been on the fence. Should I buy Copics? Should I not buy Copics? I've asked a million people their opinions. Okay, not a million, but you get the gist. And I've gotten a lot of different feedback. I love Ohuhus, but out of the Copics I have bought a few already. The results I get using those Copics is, yeah, I mean, side by side to the Ohuhu, the performance of the brush nib on the Copic is unreal. Like, I get so much better results. The blending is a lot better. I can feather out and create spectacular effects that I just cannot get with the Ohuhus. And that's not necessarily Ohuhu's fault. Let's see, which one is that one? Dusky. But I do think it's part of, one, their nib construction, because they're different materials, but also their color ranges. I'm working on putting my Ohuhus in color order now that they have the pastels. But did anyone notice that they changed up the color codes on their pastels? I noticed they had a lot of V's for violet, but their 120 set doesn't have any like V for violet. It's P for purple. So what the hell, Ohuhu? Like, and I didn't notice it till I was trying to swatch them and put them in color order so I could find some blends easier, that I realized they changed up their freaking color codes on us. So I'm a little pestered by that. I'm not gonna lie, I actually got a little mad. Now, I don't know if the new 120 set, because I found it on Amazon the other day, they have that new 120 brush with a bullet nib, which would be awesome for mandalas and stuff. Because I know, does anyone use the chisel side when they have brush on the other? I do sometimes for a full background when I'm being lazy, but honestly that chisel goes neglected. So the bullet nib I think is awesome. So, but I don't know if in that new set they have adjusted their colors or not. If you have purchased that 168, or no, it's 120 with the brush and the bullet nib, let me know if they've changed purple to like violet, or if it's still a P code and not a V code. But yeah, I love Ohuhu. They're super budget friendly, but I think over the years the problem is they launched and it was one of those cheap brands that none of us really knew if they were going to last or not, because you know, you get those knockoff ones and it's like, will they stay? And they finally realized that they were going to be successful, so they, you know, when they revamped and added the brush, which was awesome, they revamped their color coding and all that and added names to the markers, whereas the old ones don't have the same color codes. By the way, they don't match up from the old set. And so they had changed all that up, which was fine, although I disagree with some of their classifications. And their numbering system is not as coherent as Copic. Like, Copic's numbers behind the letters actually mean something and make sense. It's universal. I haven't figured it out with Ohuhu. It's kind of just bouncing all over. And maybe there is a system in place and I just haven't found the right documentation to explain it to me. Totally possible. So if you know what that their, you know, number coding actually means, let me know. But yeah, that was a frustration. But even still, they're super cheap. I love the Ohuhus. I'm still going to use them. But using those Copics over the weekend, I just realized, man, yes, Copics are ridiculously overpriced. I'm not even going to try and sell you on the idea that they're budget friendly because they're not. Like, I don't care who says they are, they're not. The only thing I can say in their defense is they are refillable. The nubs are replaceable. They're not cheap though. I know they went to a smaller refill size, and so before you could get like up to 10 refills of a Copic sketch from a refill bottle, and they did downsize it but keep the price the same, so that was kind of a low blow, Copic. But the new one ranges anywhere from 4 to 5. Some people have said they've gotten 6 refills out of it. That said, yeah, the new marker will cost you anywhere from $5 to $10 just to buy that marker itself. But with a refill, per marker, it brings the price down considerably. It's still more expensive than an Ohuhu, but you can refill it on the fly. Like, I run out of a certain color, I can just refill it. I buy a refill, I have like 3 to 5 marker refills right there in my hands, ready to go. I don't have that with Ohuhu. Ohuhu doesn't have open stock. They do have a couple that are on their site for open stock, so I'm wondering if they're going to start adding more. Now, if Ohuhu adds refills, they are going to seriously give Copic a run for their money. That said, the Copics I was playing with this weekend, the blending, the way they blend together is flawless compared to my Ohuhus. So it's not just the nicer nib, which is very nice and oh my god, so heavenly. I love the nib on those Copics, but the other thing is, it's just they do blend easier, and it's, yes, because they do have a lot of colors that are closer in range, which I appreciate, but there's just something about their ink composition, and they put a lot more thought into the colors they created over the years that I think brought them that far. Like, that is why they blend amazingly well. Like, I found doing some Hannah Lynn hair with my Copics was so much easier than with my Ohuhus. I got a seamless blend every time. I was able to, you can layer with a Copic marker really well too, so it helps create a gradient. So I am definitely going to be buying Copics, and I know a lot of old school users are very salty about the refill issue, but for me, coming in kind of new to it, it's not as big of a deal for me because I never really got to experience the bigger refills. So to me, I'm like, oh, I guess, yeah, that sucks, but it's not the same for me. Totally understand how people could be salty about that, because I don't understand why they decreased the volume but kept the price up. Some people say it's because of competition, but then I'm thinking, well, that's the worst way to like make yourself competitive. Offer less, charge the same. That's not really helping your case, because then I can just go buy the same Ohuhu marker in a set and just, for like the cost of 2 Copic markers. So I don't know. But that said, they blend so well that I can totally see where that price comes, and that's the bummer, is once you use a Copic, you're just like, wow, these things really are amazing. But who knows, Ohuhu could add more colors, which would then help a lot. They could also fix their numbering and labeling system and quit changing it every time they come out with a new set of markers, for freaking sake. Like, when I went to put them in color order and noticed that, it was kind of like, oh, hoo-hoo, why? What are we doing here? So yeah, they really need to get their number and labeling game under control ASAP. I also would really love if Ohuhu would create a color chart like Copic has. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I don't have mine nearby, but It's a huge chart with all their colors, and they have the columns for color family, and then they have them in the numerical order for that family. And so you just fill in the chart. You know, it helps for buying open stock because you can see what you're missing, you know, comparing sets and whatnot. But it's all in color order. Ohuhu like has this color wheel funky thing that they send out with all their stuff, but it's so small you can't read it. And I can't tell what goes where, and I swear the pastels aren't even on there, but maybe they are and I'm just not seeing it. But if they came out with a color chart like that, that would kind of help us decode, that would be killer. So hint, hint, oh hoo hoo. They are a company that really does listen to people when they ask for something. I did send an email asking if that was something they plan to do. But I think to do that, they would need to fix this very haphazard numbering and labeling system that they've created over the years. They're newer, they're evolving, you know, they want to compete with Copic. But I think if they want to really compete with Copic, they need to fix some of these confusing factors that make Copic so easy. So, like, I mean, you know what RV is, you know, like the earth tones and naturals, and it's just a lot easier. But enough of that rant. I do want my Copics though. Oh my gosh, the price. Looks like right now the cheapest to buy those 72 sets is Amazon. Blickart sells them like for 400 something freaking dollars. You can get them anywhere from $315 to $370 on Amazon. And they are returnable. So like if for some reason you get a bum set, but definitely cheaper there. You can't get the refills. Well, you can, but they're a third party. So refills, you probably need to go like Blickarts or something. And Blickarts coupons don't work on Copics, just FYI. They don't let you use them on there. So like anytime they have those, they have that disclaimer that it doesn't apply to lowest priced items or, you know, competitive pricing. That includes your Copics. And even with my apps that give me cash back, it would still be cheaper to grab the 72 counts on Amazon. So it's just a matter of sucking it up and shelling out the dough. I'm also saving for a new camera, and like I said, we're buying a new house, so tossing $300 something at 72 markers seems rather irresponsible. But yeah, after this weekend I'm playing with those Copics, it was just like, wow, I really, really want those Copics now. That's gonna be hard to resist. Very hard. So we'll see. You might find those in my February haul. I'm giving myself to the end of the month to decide on it, if I'm gonna pull the trigger. I had bought a few open stock Copics, so I've kind of had to see what colors are in those 72 sets and make sure none of the open stock ones are in there. It sucks because there's like, I'll find a set and just one of my open stock markers are in that set. I'm like, ah, dang it. So I did find one set that doesn't have any of the ones I purchased outside of those bigger sets, so that's the one I got my eye on right now. Can't remember which one it is. They go A, B, C, D, and E to collect all of them. So there will come a point where I can't buy the 72 set, and I'll have to either buy open stock or smaller sets that have all those ones I'm missing, which kind of sucks, because that will be pricey. I won't be able to get them as cheap. Welcome to the world of adult coloring, right? All these art supplies and so expensive. I think you can use your coupon though from Hobby Lobby on them, but Hobby Lobby also sells them for very expensive amounts, so I think it's still cheaper to go other routes. I don't know, I'll have to look. And some of these I kind of overlap and it looks a little sloppy, but I'm not too worried about it just because of what I plan to do. Well, thinking of doing, I should say. trying not to get into these very lighter colors though. But I do picture some maybe stickles and white gel pen accents. I want to keep it simple and just make these colors pop because they're still so pretty without me, you know, layering on top of them. So I don't want them to lose that. I'm kind of on the fence. Maybe stickles and, ooh, maybe a glitter background. That'd be fun. Like filling all this background in with like a glitter of sorts. That'd be actually kind of fun. Now I have an idea. Sparkles. There's never anything wrong with glitter. You'll notice, like, so with Inktense, I just went in here dry, and then since, like I said, I'm pulling the color to create a gradient. Like, see here how it's darker and goes lighter. So in this case, I'm starting in the darker part and moving up to the lighter, and then it kind of creates that gradient. Now, if you don't want the gradient, you would come this way instead of outward. And these petals are iffy. Like, I have to do them one at a time because if I chunk them up, I might accidentally swap some ink over and do these petals that are done, and then it won't look right. So I do the petals one at a time to keep them even and not accidentally mess up the petal next to it. Inktense are very relaxing to use. Your paper doesn't warp as much, but if you use these on like Create Space type paper, just be prepared for some warping. But yeah, for the most part, like on Johanna Basford books, the paper takes the water pretty well. Just don't oversaturate. You don't need a ton of water with Inktense. And these like cheapo, no-name water brushes I've had for a year and a half now, and they've worked great. No fraying. I mean, they've kept their form. I haven't had any issues. They have a really big reservoir. And the first two brushes in the set, the other one's in my room, so the first three, these ones here, they all have the exact same size reservoir and threading, so you can actually swap them out. Like, so if you're feeling lazy, like you have water in this one, you can just pop the cap off and swap them instead of having to leave your desk and go refill this one. That said, you don't go through the water really quickly. These reservoirs hold quite a bit. The only time I go through it pretty quickly is if I'm doing watercolors, and that's because I tend to use a lot more water with a watercolor, just because you want it to move around and get that translucent look to it and all flowy, whereas in this case I'm kind of going for the vibrancy. I don't want to water down my colors. Yeah, these are just 4 colors. And I can tell you the names of the colors too when I finish this flower. I just kind of alternate them. It's pretty much impossible to not have 2 similar colors like somewhat close, like see here. But I've tried my best to separate them so there's some distance. Yeah, I think I will do a sparkle background. And then maybe accent it with a bunch of stickles. See, this is good. This WIP Wednesday, I'm kind of like talking it through my head, bouncing it off you guys. Let me know in the comments below if you think like a glittery background. And by glittery, not like black. Well, black might work too. But yeah, definitely something sparkly in the background. I'm not going to take stickles. I might do the good old-fashioned, you know, glue and lay down a bunch of glitter and then shake it off type of thing like you do in grade school. But let me know in the comments below what you think the color of the background should be, what you think I should do with the flowers, any suggestions. I'm open because, like I said, I kind of just dove into this was like, okay, here's my Inktense. Let's just go. Zero plans. That can make it kind of fun sometimes, and other times it can make it a little daunting because you get stuck because you went into it without a plan and you're like, I don't know where to go. I love the colors already. I love how they're turning out. These flowers with borders, I haven't decided if I'm just going to use another color or if I will put stickles around them. Because a thought I had, like I said, was to take white gel pen and like cover up all the black lines, but then I would want a dark background. However, to color over each of these dark lines with a white pen would be the most tedious job in the world. But it might look cool. And then adding like little dots here and there, adding in my stickles. Oh, there's so many ways to do this. I don't even know. So yeah, definitely let me know your guys' thoughts. Oh, we're already at an hour. I try to keep these in an hour, so I think I will stop here. But thank you for listening to me chat. I only have 2 flowers left. So definitely thank you to that because it's been hard to sit here and just do this. So, like every week, definitely leave if you have any questions in the comments below and I will answer them on the next week. Do let me know if you have any fun creative ideas for the background, and the centers, or even what to do with the flowers. If you think I should leave them as is, do some, cover them with white gel pen. This could be on next week's WIP. I know I said that last week, but it really depends on the picture. If something's super complex, I might have to what I do is I take mini breaks. So like I would take a break from this and go work on a page that I can finish in 2 days. And then I would come back to this, after I've kind of gotten my head together type of thing. So who knows, this could show up next week if I'm taking a few extra sanity breaks, as I call it. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you next week.